Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh YouTube. Ali here. Basically, I'm gonna try and make this as short and quick as possible. This is a response to a video that Peter posted a while back. I just noticed that no one actually gave any responses to his exact comments about the women in Islam. So basically, I decided that I should, give some comments about that. That it was brought to my attention that by one of our brothers. In any case, I'll try to address all of your comments, Peter, just in case that you never actually got guided to the answers. Um, so the first thing that you did is you quoted chapter 4, verse 34, where basically you're talking about how in the Quran it says that men are basically more stronger, more of a maintainer than a woman, as per the verse. And let me just read the entire verse for you because you did comment on the same verse later on in a different context. So let me read the entire verse. It says, "Men are the protectors and maintainers of women because Allah has given the one more strength than the other, and because they support them from their means." The verse continues, but I just wanted to stop here and just talk about that a little bit. Right there, you even see that the men are supposed to support the women. Women aren't supposed to support the men. So this is something that Islam teaches that you probably, I don't know if you've ever heard this thing, but in Islam, whatever money a man has, it belongs to his wife, and whatever money his wife has, it just belongs to her. The man is not allowed to touch it unless she gives it to him. Okay. Let me just continue reading the verse and then I'll come back and address all the comments it says. "Therefore the righteous women are devotedly obedient and guard in the husband's absence what Allah would have them guard. As to those women on whose part ye fear disloyalty and ill conduct, admonish them first," meaning basically speak to them. "Next, refuse to share their beds. If they're not listening when you talk to them, don't sleep with them. And last, beat them lightly. That's if, not sleeping with them doesn't get them to stop doing what they're doing. But if they return to the obedience, seek not against them means of annoyance. For Allah is most high, great, above you all." So, getting back to the beginning part of the verse, it talks about men being the protectors and the maintainers of the woman. Therefore, Allah has given them more strength. And let me ask you a question. A simple question. Would you have a fight with a woman? Would you go and fist fight a woman? I'm not talking about the Buffy the Vampire Slayer type woman. I'm talking about the regular, Mary down the street. Would you just go have a fist fight with her? The answer would be no, right? It'd be against your principle because you don't hit a woman, right? I mean, that's commonplace in our society. You don't see women competing in the Olympics with men. I used to play golf when I was in high school. You never see the women tee up where the men teed up. They always went further ahead. Why? Because women are not as strong as men. God has created men stronger than women, so that's why we are their protectors. And in Islam, it's a man's responsibility to take care of his household, not the woman's responsibility. It's the woman's responsibility to basically spend the man's money. That's what the woman is for. Basically, of course, more than that, but in layman's term, that's what she's for. She's there to basically, to give you everything, comfort and all these other things. But at the same time, it's your responsibility to take care of her. Um, and so that's basically, to answer the two times you quoted the same verse. Then you quoted 16, 58 and 59. Which basically, of course, you took it out of context because if you read 58, it talks about, when the news is brought unto one of them of the birth of a female child, his face darkens. Who's this his that we're talking about? Well, if you go back to like 56 and 57, you find out that we're talking about, those that ascribe partners to God, basically that, the pagans that and back in the time of Muhammad, the pagans used to when they had the girl child, they get very upset. They even buried these girls alive and all these other things. So that right there just goes to show that, mashallah, that this was not talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It wasn't talking about Islam, it was talking about the pagans. Okay. Then, you talk about 411, the inheritance law. And again, going back to what I said in the beginning, it's a man's responsibility to take care of his woman. The women don't have any financial burdens. All the financial burdens rest on the man's shoulder. So therefore, you know, this is why a man is given more inheritance than a woman, because a woman doesn't have to take care of herself once she's married. It's her husband's responsibility to take care of her. However, in the case of a man, it's his responsibility to take care of, his wife completely. All right. So hopefully that answers that question. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. If it's a man's responsibility to take care of his wife, of course, a man would need more finances, etc., than the woman. And in the case of inheritance, that's just perfect sense, right? Then you said that you quoted from chapter 2, verse 283. In fact, you actually quoted from chapter 2, verse 282. And again, I'm using the Yusuf Ali's translation. So if you're using a different translation, it is possible that the translator used a different verse for this thing. That's possible. Because whatever. The point is this thing, that you're talking about how you need two women for witnesses. And let me ask you a question. Have you ever dealt with a woman when she's going through her periods? Why do I ask you that question? Well, basically, you're having the women as witnesses. In the case where it's a very critical need for the woman witness, if she's going through her period, she's basically going through very much, highs and lows of what you might call it, hormonal whatever, and because of that, she's basically going to have, it's very much possible that instead of doing the right thing, she does the hormonal thing. And I'll give you an example. In the case of me and my wife, we don't live with each other yet. We talk a lot on the phone, and whenever she's going through her periods, it's very, frustrating, because sometimes you say something and, she misunderstands what I'm saying. And I understand as a man that, she's going through her period, and this I just need to let her, deal with her periods, and then when she's done, then we can have the same discussion and she'll understand what I'm saying. So the point is this, that, when a woman is going through her periods, if it's needed that she gives her witnessing, if she this is why you need to have the two women, because it's more likely that they won't have the periods at the same time. So if they did, well, Allah knows better, but for the most part, she probably won't have the same period as the other woman, or maybe in different phases of her period, or whatever the case may be. So this way that the true account will be given, not the hormonal account. And again, we're talking about the generic woman. We're not talking about, like She-Ra or Buffy the Vampire Slayer or somebody. We're talking about the generic woman. So I know there's some Buffy the Vampire Slayers out there that, when they go through their periods, there's no change in their attitude, this, that, the other. But we're not talking about them. We're talking about the generic female. Okay. And we're also talking about the generic male, in the case of the Quran. Okay. Then you quoted, what else did you quote? You quoted chapter 2, ayah 223. Basically, if you read the previous verse, which is 222, it ties back basically into what I was talking about the menses period and everything else like that, to leave the women alone until they finish going through whatever they need to go through. But actually, you need to read 222 to understand what 223 is talking about. It's talking, the verse is talking about men ask, the Prophet what to do when their women are going through the period. And this is Allah's response to them, saying that, listen, when they're going through the periods, don't do anything. Let them be. When they're clean, then you can go on to them, and basically, they're like your till. But also, if you read, it also talks about, you know, that they're a till. But before you go on to them, make sure that you have done some good act for your soul. Now, what is this good act that they're talking about? Is it talking about praying or whatever it is? Some commentators would say that, but if you go to like the Assad translation, I looked at his comments, and basically the exact words in his comments are, in other words, a spiritual relationship between man and woman is postulated as the indispensable basis of sexual relation. So what is it saying? That that good deed that you're doing is basically making sure that your wife is happy. It's not like, you're forcing yourself and, going in and really plowing her like a field. It's basically making sure that, she's, this is, basically what she wants type of deal. Of course, it's always on a man's mind. I mean, we're men. That's just the nature of men. But in the case of a woman, she should not. It's not like you're forcing her to have the sex. It's if you read what it says, the good deed means that you're making sure that this is something that you both agree on, type of thing. It's consensual, not rape. You know what I mean? So hopefully that gives you the answers to the questions that you raised. I hope I covered everything. So with that, I end this video. I'm sorry if I look and feel sleepy, because I am. But I wanted to give a response before I went to bed, because I would have probably forgotten by tomorrow. So anyways, inshallah, I will talk to you later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Woman, as per the verse. And let me just read the entire verse for you, because you did comment on the same verse later on in a different context. So let me read the entire verse. It says, "Men are the protectors and maintainers of women, because Allah has given the one more strength than the other, and because they support them from their means." Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, YouTube. Ali here. Basically, I'm going to try and make this as short and quick as possible. This is a response to a video that Peter posted a while back. I just noticed that no one actually gave any responses to his exact comments about the women in Islam. So basically, I decided that I should, give some comments about that. It was brought to my attention that by one of our brothers. In any case, I'll try to address all of your comments, Peter, just in case that you never actually got guided to their answers. So the verse continues, but I just wanted to stop here and just talk about that a little bit. Right there, you even see that the men are supposed to support the women. Women aren't supposed to support the men. So this is something that Islam teaches, that you probably, I don't know if you've ever heard this thing, but in Islam, whatever money a man has, it belongs to his wife. First thing that you did is you quoted chapter 4, verse 34, where basically you're talking about how in the Quran it says that men are basically more stronger, more of a maintainer than a woman.